There are a lot of fears and hesitations that people have surrounding the process of language learning. And the number one reason is this. Emphasize that, that our main focus, okay. Responsabilidad.
Oh no. 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 No, acid? No.
Responsabilizarem. Jesus Christ. But you see, it's actually not that bad. I mean, don't get me wrong. It does get frustrating. I can very, very clearly remember when I was living in Germany and I had been living in a WG for a year nearly, full of Germans. I had only been speaking German at that point for 10 months, studying in German, living in German, socializing in German. You see what I mean? And I honestly got to a point where it felt like my learning and my skills were completely going in the opposite direction. And it was frustrating. And I remember sitting with my housemate and crying, and I was like, I think I just need to level up. And that's exactly what I needed to do. Because my number one goal was to speak like a native speaker, which pretty sure I achieved. I mean, not to toot my own horn or anything. No, but seriously guys, I set myself the goal from the very beginning to speak German like a native speaker. And obtaining that level came with a lot of consistency, a lot of work, a deep innate drive that I have to be the absolute best I can be and push past any limits. And the thing is, you can do this too. It's not just a magical set of characteristics that falls down from the sky. It can be trained, it can be learned, and I'm going to help you do that in this video because it's all about changing your lifestyle and doing that in very simple increments. So in this video, I'm going to introduce you to a super geiles Konzept in German called gehirngerechtes Lernen. As you guys know, I'm an absolute lover of this topic, anything to do with learning, the brain, neuroscience, you get what I mean. And gehirngerechtes Lernen means learning in a way that is consistent with your brain's most effective mannerisms, I suppose you could translate it as. Although German gets a really bad rap sometimes, it's actually an amazing language and has words that we don't even have anything close to in English. So within the next few minutes, I'm going to show you some awesome strategies to help you build up your consistency and make your learning strategy work for you, especially for a language like German. And I'm going to show you guys all the little tips and tricks and creative means that I use personally to get over those difficult roadblocks that we all know and that we all fear. Time your learning to be in tune with your energy levels every day and make sure to have your habits match your lifestyle. So if you guys have already watched my habits video, and if you haven't, then you definitely should by clicking the link up here, because in the video I talk about a lot of simple yet unique habit hacks that are really easy to integrate into your life, but no one has really talked about them that much. So one thing I'm a massive fan of is habit stacking. And in German we have this wonderful phrase which goes as follows. Warum schwierig, wenn es auch einfach geht? So why would you make something in your life difficult when it can also be done in a much easier manner? So for example, I am currently focusing on Portuguese at the moment, and you guys can follow my journey on my newest channel with David from Linguathor, which is called Monthly Glot. So if you guys are not aware of Monthly Glot yet, then follow us on Instagram. You'll see the Instagram link here. But basically, I wanted to make it as simple as possible for myself. And on Monthly Glot, we are very transparent about what we do, the resources we use, and how we train each individual language skill. And so in order to make it really simple and consistent for myself and for me to be consistent with my learning, I have one focused session and one passive simple session a day. So this is my tip for you. One focus session and one relaxed session. So for me, for example, in the mornings, I start my day with Portuguese and then I end my day with Portuguese. And this is easiest for me because in between calls and coachings and content creation, script writing, everything that comes into my day, I know that I just won't make it a priority in the middle of the day to study Portuguese unless I'm having my kind of quieter, more relaxed day. But so in general, I will start my day with meditation in Portuguese. So this is what I mean by habit stacking. I already meditate, so I thought, let's just add the language learning onto something I already do. And so what I will do is I will listen to the meditations and I will listen to the affirmations in Portuguese. And then later that day, as part of my focus session, I will write down those affirmations. Sometimes if I have more time in the morning, I'll do it then. And the evening session, the more focused session, is used for revising what I have listened to in the morning. So not just with meditation, but I'm also listening to an audiobook at the moment, or I'm reading a book on script. And then the evening session will be used to kind of actively work with the texts and the audio that I have been listening to. And this is an amazing thing that you can do as well. So you could even swap it around. For me, I choose to have the focus session in the evening just because I have way more energy in the evening and I'm most productive and conducive with my work. But if you are more of an early bird and you find that you want to start your day and kind of get that out of the way, then you can definitely swap it around. So, for example, with German, there are tons of resources you can use. The same, if you have script or if you have Kindle, Audible is the one, then find German audiobooks that are related to topics that you really like. And if you're at a beginner level, you can start with more simple YouTube videos, listen to them in the morning, and then use them as your kind of learning resource in the evening. And don't be afraid to swap around materials, because if you use a variety of materials, you will find that a lot of the words and phrases cross over, especially if you're watching kind of similarly related content, which is just amazing for your memory. So the next tip, I'm gonna get my Deutschlehrerin Lina on. So this is something that I have used with every single one of my students because I fully believe in this and I used it for my own learning for not just German but other languages, mnemonics and stories. I don't know why people make it difficult for themselves. So we have been taught to believe that our brains, and the best way to conceptualize things and really ingrain them into our memory, is to have lists. This includes vocabulary lists, to have graphics, to have tables, and to, have paragraphs and chunks of notes that we read in order to revise. Our brain doesn't work that way. And even if it works for you temporarily, it's not gonna last for a long time. It's not gonna go into your long-term memory. Let's talk about German genders. This is a topic that people, I know everybody hates, but listen guys, if I could learn the gender of all the words and then get them right, you can too. So the first thing is getting creative with the stories that you use to learn the nouns, and as well using colors. Make it creative, because the more senses that you use on top of using mnemonics, which I will talk about in a second, but the more senses you use, so you invoke color into your learning. Get an A4 sheet. You might have a textbook in front of you, or you might be watching a video and listening to audio, but write down words, make them colorful, use pictures, and create a story out of vocabulary lists. So an extremely effective technique you can use is what's called the journey method. So essentially what I've done in my room, I have 10 positions that correspond to the numbers 0 to 9, and each one I have also depicted with a picture. So for example, 0 is my mirror and it is the sun. Number 1 reminds me of a wine bottle and it is my toilet, and it reminds me of a time that I had a bit too much wine and sat by the toilet for a few hours. Number 2 reminds me of 2 goldfish swimming in my basin. Number 3 is my shower, and it reminds me of, well, a naked butt when you're in the shower. So you guys get the picture, literally. But essentially you want to create a journey with particular destinations. And then when it comes to learning vocabulary, what you're going to do is you're going to associate that vocabulary with something in that position. So the other day I was actually learning some Mandarin phrases, and David was testing me if I could remember all of these. And funnily enough, this was like actually a week and a half ago, and I still remember them. And I also used to do this for German when I was studying at university, and I would also put like post-it notes all around my room to remind me of particular things and stories and phrases. So it wouldn't be that I labeled items, but I would put, for example, key phrases on really colorful Papierblätter onto my wall, by my bed, things like that, so that I would see them everywhere I go and I would make them interesting. And now to mnemonics. So this is something that I will never forget, so it shows you just the power and value of using this method. When I was learning vocabulary, I remember I also struggled with the genders, and I remember specifically die Mauer. So I would draw a picture of a woman with a lawnmower going through a wall. So in that image right there, I have everything I need to know, and it's a comical scenario, so it's gonna stick in your mind, because the more that you use emotion, the more you invoke emotion into your learning and use as many of your senses, the more neural connections will be built and the stronger the memory, essentially. So die Mauer is feminine, that's why I have a woman in the picture. Mower sounds like Mauer, so she's holding a lawnmower to remind me of the sound of the word. And we have a wall, we have her going through a wall, because that's the meaning of the word. So make sure to have those three elements and use this method to learn those tricky German genders. And the final point is to use native speaker content to your advantage. Now, a huge mistake that people make is that they don't use native speaker content in the best way that they possibly could. The key thing is, of course, the content should be subtitled, or it should be available in a text format or something that you can easily translate. But so, for example, with YouTube videos, I would watch Turkish für Anfänger. This was one of the series that I first started learning with, so that's an awesome one if you're learning German. And another one is Extra. So I used Extra German for all of my beginner students, and they absolutely loved it because it also has subtitles, but you can then get transcripts and activities online, which I will also leave links down to below. But you can use native speaker content such as videos, audiobooks, articles, things like that, that are related to things that you enjoy, because then you are more likely to actually stick to them, learn with them, and they're going to be more useful. So with native speaker content, let's take a YouTube video. So I would definitely pick things like interviews about a topic that you're interested in. Let's say you've found this video that is an interview, and the great thing about interviews is that you have dialogue that is in first person, so you can literally mimic that. So take this one video, and you can find this particular format on YouTube where you can see the transcription on the side, and copy and paste that. And I would just work with that one thing. You can do this as well for an audiobook, for example. As I said, this is what I'm doing for Portuguese at the moment. I have the text, I'm listening to the audio, and then I will pause it every now and then to copy and take out those key phrases that the interviewee, the interviewer, or the narrator says that I think, wow, okay, this is something I'm going to want to talk about. And then what I would do is I would create my own dialogue. It could be a short dialogue of 60 seconds and make a video of myself talking. And the great thing about this is that you can use that thing that you've just done to practice your pronunciation and train your accent as well. Because once you recorded yourself, you can compare it to the native speaker, so the original speaker's voice, and bam, there you go. There's your learning plan. How good is that? And the beautiful thing about this was that I learned all of these words that only really exist in German. For example, lebende Begriffe, Gedankendeponie. Ich habe jetzt meine Lebensübersichten. All these wonderful things that you learn from watching native speaker content. And if you need them for your life, then there's no right time to start learning them per se. And no matter what level you're at, guys, check out deutschland.de. They have amazing memes, actually, comical graphics, and they have a bunch of resources from YouTube videos, YouTube creators that you're going to find helpful, to blog articles about life in Germany, working in Germany, grammar stuff, how to learn German with apps. They just have a bunch of resources that are super helpful that you can find here. And they've also got an Instagram page, which I highly recommend that you follow, because as I said, they make German really easily accessible and easy to learn through these fun modern graphics. And as well, another exciting thing is that they have a Gewinnspiel. So if you're learning German, guys, definitely get onto this. So in this giveaway, you have the chance to receive 2 learning packages of books for German, a Lernspiel, so a game to practice and improve your skills with. All you need to do is fill out the form below. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Sagt mir Bescheid, falls es euch gefallen hat, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe to my channel and click that notification button because the YouTube algorithm is a bit funny sometimes. So I would love to know what other things you found helpful in your learning and how you've broken through those plateaus, whether it be in German or in another language. And finally, mwah, un beijo. I will see you guys in my next video.